Hello, everyone. I am Corion, your witch in residence here on YouTube. And I'm going to talk about a movie that's actually one of my favorites. The problem with why I haven't touched on this movie before has a lot to do with the fact that every nerd from here to Risa has had a take on this movie, has discussed the tactics, has discussed the effects, has discussed the actors, has discussed the plot. So it was hard for me to find a unique tact for it, and I think I found it. Now, before we get too deep into it, I just wanted to say thank you so much to my channel members. And if you have not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. And then please hit the bell icon so that you find out when my videos post. Although they do post every Sunday, I appreciate it when people follow up and watch it right away. Now, with all of that in mind, thank you so much. And let's dig into Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. So, in this movie, we have watched Kirk through his 5-year mission, and we've watched him and the rest of the bridge crew grow up. And now Kirk is an admiral, and he's facing the back half of his life and trying to figure out how to age gracefully. And that got me thinking how one deals with the experience of age versus the exuberance of youth. And, we see several different examples of characters aging. We have Spock, who's fairly unchanging. You can imagine that Science Officer Spock from the original series would be just as comfortable teaching in a classroom. Heck, even the younger Spock examples we've gotten from Strange New Worlds would seem to be a good fit for teaching younger students, maybe not the tactics that he's experienced, but, teaching at the academy. He's unchanging in his resolve. We have McCoy, who's always seemed to be feeling ancient, somewhat like myself. We have other members of the bridge crew that are getting older but still remind us of the people that they were. And then you have Kirk. Now, to say Kirk was impulsive in his youth would be an understatement. He's a tactician that, when his tactics won't be sufficient, uses bravado to clear the gap between failure and success. But he's gotten older now. He's gotten more seasoned, and he's on a ship full of cadets dealing with mistakes of his past. And he knows he can't win in an outright fight and doesn't try. Instead, he follows a rule that I have quoted many times for many years, which is youth and exuberance will always be beaten by old age and treachery. And Kirk takes that lesson very well. He stalls. He buys time to get the right information, to force the Reliant to drop its shields. He uses his experience fighting various forces over the years to know that Khan doesn't have the same experience battling in space, and uses that to his advantage. And this is what happens as we get older. We have to make mistakes when we're young, when it's safer to make mistakes, so that as we get older, we know what to do in those situations, so that when criticality occurs, we have the experience to match it appropriately. I actually think this is one of the most important reasons why we play video games, especially fantastic ones, involving scenarios that we would never occur in real life, because that gives us valuable experience for real life. Many of us are not going to be facing down a Gorn on Cestus 3, or, going hand to hand with a Klingon. but we remember what we have seen, right? I remember the components and quantities of gunpowder from that episode involving the Gorn. And I remember all the tactics, the style from playing chess with my father when I was younger. Um, as I grew up, I spent time with my peers and we refined our tactics. We built a repertoire of techniques that we can use to win even when we probably shouldn't be able to through force of arms alone. And now, when I'm older and a little more seasoned, and have realized that sometimes the best tactic to take into a fight is to not fight at all, to find an alternative, which is what I've done in YouTube a great deal. I would argue that 90% of the conflicts I have ever experienced with other creators were better solved by negotiation, consultation, discussion, than through out and out Twitter flame wars. So we need to remember to learn the lessons from our youth and apply them as we get older. Because one day you're going to be doing what you do and surrounded by kids. And a situation is going to come up that those kids are not prepared to handle. And it's going to be on you. Go back into the tricks you've learned. Go back into what you know so that when that challenge occurs, you can say, I encountered something similar to this. I know what to do. And can bring that skill forward. And I'm sure a lot of us do this. I'm sure a friend of the channel and brother and close, person to my heart, Mexican Iron Man, has run into many times in accounting where he has seen similar accounting practices from other companies and thus gets an understanding, a better understanding of the terrain with which he's walking into, and can make an informed and educated decision that he couldn't have made 10 years ago or even 15 years ago. Right? Another good friend, Cameron, has probably seen enough instances in Hollywood now that while his predictions appear to be prophecies come down from divine wisdom, or simply experience, having spent years in the industry and have learned the lessons that his experiences attempted to teach him. And now he can predict the future based on what he knows that has occurred in the past. Again, another friend of the channel and a very close personal friend, Dictor Van Doomcock, my personal vote for the future ruler of Earth, has been on YouTube for long enough that he probably has tricks and techniques and skills that I am still learning from, having watched him deal with issues and then watch him deal with the resolutions with grace and skill and a style that makes it look effortless. So we are never truly done learning. But as we learn, it's important to remember those lessons, right? It's important to be able to sit down with our friends and say, hey, you remember when we were in something similar to this and we used trick XYZ to get us out of it? Let's do that. And let's make sure that the kiddies who are watching us learn those tricks too, because one day they're going to face something like that, right? There's an ancient saying that says there's nothing new under the sun. So we are going to face the same issues over and over again, right? The young guys in my gaming group watch me negotiate and discuss and work with my wife and learn the relationship lessons through that example that I learned the hard way, and I would rather they not have to learn it the hard way. So I make sure that they learn from my example. And then hopefully, when they move forward into their own lives and their own relationships, they can use those techniques or an adaptation of those techniques to help them out in similar situations. And for all of you here, I truly hope that you guys see what I do and see what I've put forward and learn from it and grow and use it in your daily lives. I would love for you guys to see that conflict is not always the solution, that diplomacy, the verbal judo I tend to use, can solve more problems faster than engaging in a fight. And that sometimes it is necessary to fight, but it should be the last resort we take. And instead, we focus on the first option, the better option, the option that sees us through. So, as you guys travel through, I'd like you to consider this. I'd like you to think about times where you were able to employ lessons in the past to help you better navigate the uncertainty of the future. And realize that that kind of experience only comes with age. So, I would like you guys, if you could, in the comments, to please comment about a time where you guys went through a challenge in your life, a trial, for the second time. And this time you made better choices because you had the experience of the first time. Because this isn't the first time that Kirk has faced off against an opponent in a superior position. And it probably wouldn't be the last either. But because of his experience, because of his knowledge, because of his old age and treachery, he's able to come through. And I hope you guys can as well. And I hope you guys have just as much fun doing it. Okay, guys, that's it for now. Just to let my channel members know, I am putting forward a series on Invincible, as well as a series on all other religions. Think of it as a travelogue to the spiritual. I'm going to alternate them month to month. I'm going to release at least one video a week, but they're only going to be for channel members. So if you are considering a channel membership, please keep that in mind. We're going to be talking about all kinds of fun things, and my channel members, in my opinion, are some of the best people. So please consider joining us. We would love to have you on board. Thank you all very much. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.